Magnum's variants on classic blue, Manfrotto's brand new tough memory cards, Instagram blocks fake news, Italian Vogue's photo-free January issue, and my pick for Photographer of the Week on this episode of Take's Take.
Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode of Photography Radio. My name is Tomasz and today you are listening to Take's Take with Kayo, where he covers what's new and interesting in the world of photography, including digital, analog, mobile, and everything in between. Enjoy.
Can you imagine your life without photography? No? Then you will love this show. And it doesn't matter if you're a DSLR, a mirrorless, or a mobile phone shooter. We're here to help your photography grow. This is Photography Radio.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Take's Take, which is my take on photography news this week, so let's begin now. In episode 1 of 2020, I talked about Pantone's Color of the Year, Classic Blue, and I wondered if this would have a direct effect on us as photographers, and it looks like Magnum Photos has taken up the challenge. On the website, Magnum talks about Pantone's pick of Classic Blue as Color of the Year and the reasons for it. As I reported previously, Pantone's statement about the color choice is, quote, "We are living in a time that requires trust and faith. It is this kind of constancy and confidence that is expressed by Pantone 19-4052 Classic Blue, a solid and dependable color hue we can always rely on." Well, Magnum decided to answer back by looking back on their catalog of images, 48 of them in fact, and this is a quote about the reasons for choosing these photographs. Above is a selection of only a tiny fraction of the images in the Magnum archive which capture variations upon the Pantone color. They cover diverse settings, capture myriad moods, and range from luminescent to muted, serene to exuberant, yet all convey some degree of the sense of clarity that blue can transmit to the viewer. These cool photographs, yes, pun intended, are a great curated selection of bluey images from mermaids to airplanes to urinals. So check them out. Perhaps it'll inspire us as photographers to do our own classic blue collection. The memory card market is flooded with various brands, and now we have a brand new player, tripod manufacturer Manfrotto. They dabbled in camera bags, mobile photography accessories, and lighting, and now they're adding professional, rugged memory cards to their product line. Manfrotto claims these cards are industrial strength, reliable, with unparalleled speeds in SD, CF, and micro SD, although no CF Express cards, which is unusual since they are targeting the pro market. Now, the SD and micro SD cards are fully sealed and waterproof and can be submerged for up to 72 hours underwater and can handle temperatures of minus 25 to plus 85 degrees Celsius, while the CF cards are not waterproof and have a temperature tolerance of 0 to 70 degrees Celsius. They claim that these rugged cards are 3 times stronger than standard memory cards and can handle high impact forces as well as being bend-proof. These cards come in multiple speeds, but the top card has read speeds of up to 280 megabytes per second and write speeds of 250 megabytes per second, although Sony's top Pro Series cards have read-write speeds closer to 300. If you go to Manfrotto's website now, there's a 50% discount on these cards if you want to give them a try, but I'd be interested in testing these cards against Sony's Tough Series memory cards because you know what? Competition is always good for us as consumers. Back in December, Instagram announced a new feature that uses algorithms to block images that were either altered or completely faked to combat the spread of misinformation on their platform. Now, this is a quote from Instagram's website concerning this new feature. They said, "We want you to trust what you see on Instagram. Photo and video-based misinformation is increasingly a challenge across our industry and something our team has been focused on addressing. In May of this year, we began working with third-party fact-checkers in the U.S. to help identify, review, and label false information. These partners independently assess false information to help us catch it and reduce its distribution. Today, we're expanding our fact-checking program globally to allow fact-checking organizations around the world to assess and rate misinformation on our platform. End of quote. So according to Instagram, once they find these possible altered or faked images, they would flag these images as either false or partly false, with these images no longer being able to be redistributed and shared, as well as having them removed from the Explore and hashtag page. With multiple false image posts, accounts can be blocked by their algorithms, making it more difficult for these accounts to be seen. The key to this system is both their image matching technology as well as user reporting these images or accounts with the use of third-party fact checkers. The problem is that some accounts that use highly altered images but for artistic reason and not for fake news, for instance, purposely distorting natural colors or facial features, again for artistic reason. And these photos are also being flagged. Now, some of these accounts have reported that their images have been flagged as fake due to these algorithms and their accounts being shadow banned or blocked from the discover and the use of their hashtags. Now, I'm sure that this is the growing pains of an application of new technologies to help stop the growth of fake news by altered images, and that's something that none of us want, but of course, smart software can only be so smart. So let's see how Instagram attempts to blocking these fake news on their platform, on one of the world's largest and most visited image sharing platforms, and see if they will succeed in doing so, and if it creates more problems by blocking legitimate images that are altered or enhanced for the sake of art and creativity. And for more information on Instagram's attempt to combat misinformation, I'll leave the link in the show notes. In odd news this week, Italian Vogue's January issue was produced without the use of any photographic images for the sake of sustainability. Now, what does that mean? Well, using their Instagram account as the main way to communicate to their audience as to why the January issue lacks any photographic images, but uses artists' illustrations for their cover and featured articles instead, Vogue talks about the cost of creating images for each issue of their magazine. Now, this is a quote. 150 people involved, about 20 flights and a dozen or so train journeys, 40 cars on standby, 60 international deliveries, lights switched on for at least 10 hours nonstop, partly powered by gasoline-fueled generators, food waste from the catering services, plastic to wrap the garments, electricity to recharge phones, cameras, ... Now, end of quote. And with the money they saved by using illustrations instead of photographs, Italian Vogue said that they would use the money that they saved and donate the proceeds to the restoration efforts in Venice after the recent flooding. For the February issue, it's back to normal, so it seems that it was just a one-off attempt for a bit of publicity, as well as to give attention to the real cost of the fashion industry when traveling the globe to get a few images for their magazine. My take is that they could have still used models and photographers, but minus the global travel and the shipping of clothing and the equipment, and perhaps used creative photography to reduce the use of lights and power. And hey, even illustrators have to eat, right? Well, I'll leave a link in the Italian Vogue's statement about this illustration-only edition of their magazine, which includes some of the illustrations used, which look great. Or I guess you can just go and buy the magazine itself. Or does that also contribute to the problem? Who knows? This week's photographer of the week is Filipina photographer and author Siza Cruz Bacani. Although her initial pursuit was not photography, she found her calling when documenting the condition of domestic workers in Hong Kong while she herself was working as one. This body of work caught the attention of Magnum Photo, who selected her as one of the recipients of the Magnum Foundation Photography and Social Justice Fellows in 2015. This exposure and mentoring by Magnum allowed her work to be shared in exhibitions around the globe, with many more awards, accolades, and recognitions since then. I had the unique opportunity to spend time as well as to interview Saiza in Bangkok back in 2017 for the Monogram Asia 8x8 Street Photography Workshop and Conference, and since then she's been busy building up her body of work. To check out Saiza Cruz's work, check out her website at saizacruzbakani.com or on Instagram at saizacruzbakani. And again, I'll leave the notes in the show notes. And so that's it for Take's Take for this week. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll talk to you again next week. Happy shooting.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hit subscribe on your podcast app. It would mean a lot for us to have you as our regular listener. Head over to photographyradio.com to drop your suggestion for future editions of Photography Radio or simply to say hello. We would absolutely love to hear from you. In the meantime, have a wonderful night, and we will be back with more photography in your ears very soon.